Is Upali Obeyesekere. He is managing editor of the Times of Sri Lanka and also president of the Canada-Sri Lanka Business Council. Upali, welcome to our program. What about that point, that he's inheriting a country that has a struggling economy and is very, very politically divided? How can he move forward?
Well, the thing is, John, the president-elect Gotabaya Rajapaksa comes from a political family. His late father was one of the founder members of one of our leading political parties, and his brother was is a former president of the country. So in that background, he grew up in a political family, as I said, and I feel very strongly that with the knowledge that he has acquired over the years, he'll be in a strong position to bring Sri Lanka back to what it was.
But the Sri Lankan economy is saddled with an awful lot of debt, isn't it? It is struggling. Do you think it was his stance towards security that won him this election?
Well, definitely national security was actually a priority item in the voters' mind, and I believe that was one of the top items. But the president-elect Gotabaya Rajapaksa is known to be a hands-on politician or a personality with a very broad knowledge of technology-based kind of operation. So he has a different approach to politics and governance than the leaders before. And I firmly believe he has all the necessary qualities and attributes to take Sri Lanka forward.
He doesn't, however, does he, have the support of a large swath of the country. The Tamils in the north, for example, are very suspicious of him, and the Muslims accuse him of racism, even harboring anti-Muslim extremists. I mean, do you think that there's an element of truth in that?
Well, there is not an element of truth in it, John, but there are allegations of such things happening. And it is true that the Northeast and the Muslims voted against him en bloc, and still the majority, which was like 70% of the population, voted for him. And that is why he came up with 300,000 majority. So while all that is true, I mean, these are allegations that are made, and I would discount it.
Okay, well, let's assume for a second that he manages to keep the peace and he's been elected on a keeping the peace ticket. Then it all comes down to the economy. Now, he wants to improve the economy, especially infrastructure, he says. But as I said just now, the Sri Lankan economy is heavily laden with debt. How is he actually going to do it?
Well, he has already proved himself as the Minister of Defense. He was also in charge of the ministry UDA, Urban Development Authority, which was in charge of the infrastructure in Sri Lanka. And personally, I have been aware that, I have seen the infrastructure in the country or in the entire island was truly magnified after he became the Minister of Defense and was put in charge of the Urban Development Authority ministry.
Yeah, but a lot of this, of course, has been done with Chinese money, isn't it? Is he Beijing's man, do you think?
Well, he did. There was a lot of Chinese investment coming into the country, and that greatly helped Sri Lanka. But this is something that has been happening since the 1960s, where the biggest conference hall was built by the Chinese.
Well, he is being sworn in almost immediately. I mean, within the next few hours, he'll be sworn in, won't he? What will be his first task, do you think?
Well, his first task would be to get a hold of the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. And I have a feeling that both the Prime Minister and the Cabinet will be changed, and there will be new faces come November 18th.
Okay, well, we shall see and watch with great interest. Upali Obeyesekere, thank you.
You're welcome, John. It's a pleasure.